Who is your Dream 100? By the end of this podcast or video, wherever you're listening or watching, you're going to have 3 tips for building out a Dream 100. Hey, I'm Jono White, founder and principal consultant of Clarity. We work with leaders around the world, and I just want to thank you for subscribing, for following, liking, sharing. If you haven't done that yet, please do click the button wherever you are listening or watching this to subscribe, follow, like, share. It really helps us to get the word out to help more leaders become the best they can be. So today, who are your Dream 100? Let me just give honor where honor is due, because this is not my idea. This comes, I actually can't remember where it originally came from, but I got the idea from Russell Brunson, a fantastic marketer from the US who has a business called ClickFunnels. And I love the idea, who are your Dream 100? And the reason I wanted to ask you this is, when it comes to any business, any organization, this is a really eye-opening idea, which is, okay, who is your dream customer? So you probably have an idea of who that is, your dream avatar, whether you are a business person, small business, whether you're a CEO of a business with thousands of people, and you know to some extent who your dream customer is, right? But what we often don't realize is we go, okay, now I've got to reach them. Oh, gee, how am I going to do that? Well, the best place to start is to say, okay, well, where are they already congregating? And Russell talks about this idea of a congregation, a church. Why do we call it congregation? Like, if you want to find all the Baptists, where would you go? Well, all the Baptists are in their congregations at Baptist churches. So they're all congregating in Baptist churches. And so if you want to find the Baptists, you go to the churches. So the question would be, where are your dream customers congregating? And the Dream 100 is simply a list of the 100 people, influencers, organizations who already are congregating your dream customers. So that's what your Dream 100 is. And it's so powerful to understand your Dream 100, because it completely opens up avenues for you to, whether you're sales, marketing or not, if you're just wanting to expand your influence, if you're wanting to do networking that feels much less contrived and is actually just a much better fit for you and who you are and what you do, then I think this idea is really powerful. And so your Dream 100 is just a starting point to understand where your dream customers are congregating, and then to go and try to have some influence. So I promised you 3 tips. The first tip is to have a look on Amazon bestsellers list. It just sounds like a strange place to look, but I've found this really helpful. Once again, I got this idea from Russell Brunson, and it's such a clever idea. It's like, where do you start? Okay, who's my Dream 100? Well, for me, I do a lot of work in the leadership space. So if you Google Amazon bestsellers list, and I recommend to not focus in on your country unless you're very geographically focused in your business, in your work, in your organization. But people, even from your specific geographic location, tend to follow influencers that are, similar. They follow the same people or similar people to other dream customers. So you look on the Amazon bestsellers. For me, leadership, I would go bestsellers list, worldwide, books. So you look at books, because authors tend to be influencers. Most influencers who grow to a certain extent end up writing a book. So it's a great starting point for your Dream 100, is to jump on Amazon's bestsellers list, books, business and money, leadership and management, boom. Okay, now I've got a top 100, and all of these authors are potential people. I actually just did this earlier today. I was going through, and someone I stumbled upon that was like a big aha moment was Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell, I love his books, but I hadn't ever put 2 and 2 together, that people who are probably interested in leadership and I could invest in them to help them become better leaders, are probably people who love Malcolm Gladwell. But by going through this list, I had that epiphany, and now I'm starting to target Malcolm Gladwell, people who like Malcolm Gladwell. And so the second tip, so that's how you start finding who they might be, right? But the second tip is to reach out to that person. Now, Malcolm Gladwell is a pretty big deal, so he's not the best example of someone where I'm likely to get a response, but it wouldn't hurt for me to try to connect on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, wherever, or contact form on his page. The point is, don't try to contact one person and expect success. to be really conservative, expect a 1 in 50 strike rate. What would it look like for you to contact 50 of these people? And, sometimes you'll come across an author in your space and they're not a massive well-known author, but they have a Facebook page with 10,000 followers. And so contacting them, you're much more likely to get a response. So contact 50 of them, drop them a line. It is time consuming. Spread it out. Maybe do, one a day for the next 2 months and just drop them a line, introduce yourself. And once again, Russell Brunson, I love his idea around this, which is, dig your well before you need it. Don't ask for an opportunity to sell anything to their followers, or just jump in and encourage them on the audience they've grown, or maybe one of them you've come across some of the work they've done and you loved it. Tell them about that. Just be a conversation. Be a good human, connecting with them and encouraging them without any ask necessarily at the start. For me, I do like to jump straight to the ask. So particularly if they have a podcast, I love to jump in, drop them a line and say, hey, I've seen your podcast, it's awesome. Here's a book I've written. If you're interested, I would love to come on and talk about it. And that has worked for me. So that's an option for you as well. Excuse me. Okay, the third tip around your Dream 100 is, and once again, Russell Brunson, shout out to his work, which has really been having a big impact on me recently, is to do a Dream 100 for each platform. This was a big aha moment for me recently, which is when Russell talked about how he had this epiphany around platforms. Why are we trying to convince people on Facebook to listen to our podcast? Why are we trying to convince people on our podcast to go and like us on Instagram? It sounds obvious, but it's so true. Who are your best podcast listeners? They're probably people who are listening to other podcasts. So go and try to find a Dream 100 for each platform. So if you are interested in getting into podcasts, or you have your own podcast, then create a Dream 100 based on that Amazon bestsellers list of people who have a podcast, and go and talk to those people, introduce yourself to those people about going on their podcast, or focus on your podcast through that Dream 100. But when it comes to your Facebook page, don't be trying to connect the podcast Dream 100 to your Facebook page. Instead, go and look on Facebook to see which authors have a good representation on Facebook and contact them through there. So that's the idea of the Dream 100. I think it's revolutionary. I'm definitely pushing into it a lot at the moment, as it just gives you a really strategic, focused pool of people to connect with, to serve, and to hopefully add value to them and their audience. And in the doing, by doing that, actually getting in front of where all of your dream customers are congregating. So if this has helped you to get clear about anything in your leadership, just comment wherever you're listening or watching with the word clarity. And I want to thank you again for subscribing, following, listening, liking, sharing. If you haven't done so yet, please click that button, click subscribe, click follow, click like, click share. It really does help us to get the word out, to help more leaders become the very best they can be. And also we'll keep you in the loop so that you know when we're releasing new content, which we're always doing. And that way it'll be right there for you the next time we have a new podcast. It'll be in front of you so you can listen to it and keep investing in your own leadership, which is really exciting. Thank you for hanging out. It's been awesome to spend some time with you. I hope you have an epic day, and I can't wait to catch up with you next time. Cheers.